From the Gospel according to Mark. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say, for they were terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice, "This is my Son, the Beloved, listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, he ordered them to tell no one about what they had seen, until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what this rising from the dead could mean. The Transfiguration. Let us just take a minute to contemplate the scene. Jesus takes his 3 disciples up to the mountain. They're alone, and then all of a sudden Jesus' clothes become dazzling white. And then the heavens open, and there's Moses and Elijah, and then the voice of the Father is heard, "This is my Son, the Beloved." And then Jesus goes down the mountain with them and tells them that they shouldn't speak about this until he rises from the dead. And the disciples don't really understand what's going on. And we might have a question to ask ourselves, but what is this text doing in Lent? Shouldn't it be in Easter, in the Easter season? Because it seems to talk so much more about the resurrection with these themes of light, of clarity, of Jesus in his glory. And it's not at all like the suffering servant that we're used to seeing during Lent. But if we look at the larger context of this text, we can see that it's really in its place for the second Sunday of Lent. Right before Jesus foretells of his death and resurrection, the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And then right after, Jesus foretells his death a second time. The Son of Man is to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him, and 3 days after being killed, he will rise again. So maybe the question we should ask ourselves is not what is this text doing during Lent, but why does the liturgy and Jesus himself draw our attention to Jesus' glory right in the middle of these somber days of Lent? We have to keep in mind that Jesus is preparing his disciples for his death. And for Jesus, you can never separate life from death. He purposely intertwines the Transfiguration with the announcements of his death because he wants his disciples to understand, and each one of us, because we generally separate as much as possible life from death. When we're in our daily life, we tend to be so absorbed, concentrated on the little things that we have to do that we forget that one day we're going to die. Or, on the other hand, when we see someone suffering, we often forget that there's life, that there's glory after death, if not in this world, then in heaven. We are a little bit like Peter when he says, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Sometimes we just want to press pause. We want to stay somewhere that's comfortable, that's well known, and we're scared a little bit of pressing forward with Jesus. And so we want to dwell in a comfortable place. Peter wants to dwell, but Jesus wants to pass. And in the word Paschal, Easter, it's also Paschal time. Paschal means a passage. It means to pass. Peter wants to dwell. Jesus wants to pass. He wants to pass from this life to his death because he wants to pass from his death to resurrection and to the glory with the Father. So maybe during this time of Lent, we can go up to the mountain with Jesus, spend some time with him, and ask him to show us his glory. Ask him to show us the way he looks at life, at death, at suffering, at all of the struggles that we have, so that we can learn how to pass with him, how to make this passage to his greater glory. Learn how to dwell with him while walking beside him, walking behind him as his disciples.